Welcome to Queer Conversations. I'm your host, G of Verity TV. Verity TV amplifies the voice and visibility of the LGBT community. And our guest today, very excited to have, Kat Campbell. She is a candidate for commission of the City Commission of Wilton Manors. And Wilton Manors is in South Florida and is nicknamed the Gayborhood, right?
That's correct. Hi, everyone.
Hey, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
I'm glad that you're
excited
here.
to be here.
Yes. And so to just jump in and I guess introduce you first, everybody, that you're running for office and you, by profession, you're a social worker, right?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm a licensed clinical social worker and I have a PhD in public affairs.
Okay, nice, nice.
A pretty unique degree, actually.
And let me welcome people here. I'm ready to get in the conversation. I'm going to take a moment and welcome everybody. Please share this video. Please like this page, Verity TV. And we're going to encourage you to ask questions. Ask questions. We have a candidate with us here today. You can ask her anything you please, and she may answer.
I might.
she might answer. Yes. So the election is in November, right?
Yes.
So what inspired you to run?
Well, what inspired me to run has to first understand a little bit about who I am.
I would love to understand
So my background is I was born in Indiana,
Okay.
and what I would say is an economically poor home,
Okay.
but a socially justice rich home.
Okay. I love that.
My family is a little different, to say the least. My mother is legally blind.
Oh.
My father is completely hard of hearing and also mildly autistic. So yes, it is the blind leading the deaf.
Wow.
Just literally.
Wow.
Literally. So I learned a lot about social justice early on in my life. And what I learned was, if you do nothing, you are part of the problem.
Okay.
So, fast forward over the years, I've gotten my degree, I've started my family, I've gotten in a position where I now have my own business and my business is doing well. And I have the opportunity to where I can get involved in a way that's more meaningful.
Okay, great.
And so that's where I'm at in my life, where I said, I have the ability now that I really want to be in part of making sure that we have a rich diversity in our city and in Wilton Manors and bringing that city to a new level. So that's what I see myself as doing, is being part of that with the unique skill set that I bring.
Fascinating. So,
This is going to go in all different directions.
It's really good. It's good. So I didn't know that about your family and your upbringing. And a question I ask everybody is about, how you identify in terms of LGBTQ and also, what was your coming out story. So I'm thinking with your parents that's probably even more unique, in terms of, but first let's talk a little bit about, how you identify.
Okay.
And did you just share and I like to share because sometimes we say things and people don't know what we're talking about. So LGBTQ stands for lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer. Or questioning. And there's more, but that's generally what we've been using in our community.
Sure.
So how do you identify?
So I like the question of how you identify, because
Yes.
to me identity is complex.
It is,
and it's
yeah.
multifaceted. So if you ask me the question of how I identify as a person, it includes things such as I identify as a woman, I identify as a mother, I identify as Jewish, which most people don't know, with blonde hair, blue eyes.
Okay.
I identify as someone with a hearing impairment, which I was sharing with you earlier on the way here. I identify as a lot of things. Now that includes my identity as a lesbian.
Okay.
I'm very out as a lesbian. It's not hidden. You can find it really easy. So
well, you have a wife, right?
I do. I have a spouse. I don't refer to her as a wife.
Sorry.
No, that's okay. And she's gender non-binary.
Okay.
So we use spouse. It's more comfortable for me.
Okay.
But I do. I have a spouse.
Okay.
I have a 10-year-old, so I have a nice
So your
complex
mom
life.
yeah. Okay, I like that a lot. So, any questions? Welcome. Thanks for joining. You're watching Queer Conversations. Our guest today is candidate Kat Campbell. She's running for a position in the Wilton Manors City Commission here in South Florida. I lost my train of thought. What was I saying? do you call?
Well, you had asked me what my coming out was.
Oh, coming out. Thank you for helping me there. So,
Okay.
so yeah, I was welcoming people. So what was your coming out story like?
Yeah, my coming out was really unique. So when I finally kind of came to it took a process.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I grew up in southern Indiana, and although I kind of had an idea what it meant to be gay, I really didn't have an understanding of that until much later in my life. So at some point, I sat down at the computer and said, what do I really want? And typed in lesbian. But, maybe that's what I really want. It's like, oh, that's an obvious one.
Wow.
So I decided to tell my family. I called my mom, and I'm like, Mom, I got to tell you something. No, I'm going to tell you in person. I want to tell you in person. So by the time I showed up, my mom's like, what? You're a lesbian? How do you know that? And of course she's like, you've been hanging out with just women. It's kind of obvious. I'm like, oh, okay.
So she was okay with it.
She was really cool. For my mom, it wasn't good or bad. It was just a thing.
Yeah.
It's just it had no value.
Just matter of fact. Right.
Just very matter of fact. What's interesting for me in my coming out is telling my dad. So if you remember, my dad's mildly autistic and doesn't understand the world the same way. So when I told my mom, I said, I really insist I tell my dad. And she's like, oh, you want to tell your dad, whatever. She doesn't care if he knows.
Right.
And so when I told my dad, his response was, so do I have to be gay?
Oh, wow.
And I said, no, Dad, you don't have to be gay. And he's like, okay. And that was the extent. That was it. That was the conversation for the rest of my life. They had a much harder time with me coming out as Jewish. That's another show altogether.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. No, they didn't. It didn't have a value.
Okay. That's fascinating. And your dad's response. Wow.
It was very cool. Yeah.
Right.
My dad is. My dad is a super cool guy. He is the kind of guy that doesn't do well in big cities because he'll like walk up to a strange woman at like a Publix and put an umbrella over her head and think he's trying to help. And you know, of course, nowadays for as women, we may be more hesitant to somebody coming up, especially a man coming into my space. I would be more hesitant. But for my dad, he just wants to help everybody. Like he'll come over and take your bags out of your hand, and he's not trying to harm you. He's trying to help you.
So they're still in Indiana, which is a good place.
No, they're in Central Florida.
Okay.
In the middle of Newberry.
Okay, well,
Mulberry.
So that sounds good. It's still like a rural.
Very rural. Yeah, they're in a very, very rural area.
Setting. So for people who want to know more about you,
yes,
you have a website, and we have Nikki here who's going to be helping us putting the links in from Nikki Lopez Creative. So you have a Facebook page. We're going to ask people to like her page.
Yes, please.
And also there's a website. People can donate.
Yes.
And there's limitations, right?
There is. So, it's funny, we were talking before the show about money isn't everything. Right. But money is important. It is important. It is a part of the campaign. It's really important. A lot of people don't realize that to run even a small campaign, is in Wilton Manors campaign, you're still talking about 25 to 30,000.
Yes.
So money is important. Donations are important. So you can donate right on my website, electcatcampbell.com.
Okay, and we just put the link there. Thank you.
So
you can donate
and then volunteering is also really important. That's another piece.
So that's good. People who want to get involved.
Absolutely, and you do not have to be a city resident to be involved in the campaign process. You just can't vote, and of course, voting is critical. So get out and vote. Right. November 6th is the primary election. It's the main election. We don't have a primary. It's a general election.
So there's one day.
Yes. November 6th. That's it. The one day general election.
Okay.
We don't have a primary in Wilton Manors. And to go back to your question about campaign contributions, you can contribute up to $1,000. That is the limit. And if you do donate over $250, you have to put in your profession. Okay. That's Florida law.
So anybody, and I think you have to be maybe a U.S. citizen or live in America. I'm not certain because this is all over the world. But I think
so. Yes, you can contribute within the United States.
Anybody in America can give.
Correct.
We want to support Kat Campbell to win a seat at the Wilton Manors City Commission, which is the Gayborhood. Right. I was looking up, and it was saying that it's the second gayest city in the country. Yeah. Tiny little city, right? Small, really nice vibe.
We have just under 13,000 as our population, so it is actually a really small city. And matter of fact, one of the things our residents value is that small town feel. Right. That's something that's really important with Wilton Manors.
Yeah. What I like too is that it's a place where you can kind of walk. A lot of South Florida, you don't have where people can walk to places. and you can walk. You
Yes.
know, I really like that. And
Me too.
So
We love to walk down to, we call it the drive. So Wilton Drive is our main drag in the city. That's where like all the gay bars are. It's
Yeah.
where Stonewall Museum is,
Yes.
which is an amazing museum. We have lots of different restaurants and ice cream shops, which
Yeah.
are important. So we love to walk down and get our Thai food and then get our ice cream and stop at the Stonewall Museum and see the different exhibits every month. And my daughter and my wife and we all love to just go and
nice.
check it out.
So
Yeah, it's
we
pretty
go
cool.
over once in a while and enjoy as well.
Sure.
We have a question here for you. Your spouse is non-binary. Can you elaborate on what that means and challenges that come with it? So yeah, that's a good
Sure.
question for people who are like, what's non-binary? What does that mean?
Sure. So I will explain non-binary. I won't necessarily explain what that means to her.
Right,
Because I think that's her own personal definition.
Of course, right.
But in terms of non-binary, it's essentially someone who doesn't necessarily fit into the gender norms, male or female, and perhaps for many identify somewhere on that male-female spectrum. We often think of gender as very binary, male or female.
Right.
And it's really more of a spectrum, and kind of where do you fall within that spectrum varies for each person individually.
Right.
My spouse is one of those who I kind of falls more in the middle.
Right.
So we try to honor that. How that impacts in terms of our life, it doesn't. We live a very accepting life of my spouse is what they identify as for the day. If they want to be more masculine, if they want to be more feminine, I don't know if that matters
Right,
to me.
okay.
That's just a gender expression process.
Right.
And it's not really relevant in the bigger scheme of important issues.
Right. Wow. And so you guys have a big, several months ahead of you, right?
Yes.
A lot going on.
Yes.
Why? Well, one thing I want to say is that I don't feel that people sometimes feel as engaged in the city races, local races.
Right.
If you could talk a little bit about why you think people should be getting involved and vote. Wherever you are,
Right.
you should vote in your local elections.
Should,
But
right.
sometimes people get excited, like, obviously when it's a presidential, but this is not that.
Correct.
So-
So United States statistics for non-presidential year for voting is about 40%,
Wow.
which is horrifying in my opinion. As
Yes.
someone who grew up with, doing nothing is the same as contributing to the problem, then there's 60% of our population that's doing nothing. Now, why people don't vote, I think is a whole variety of different answers. And I think one of the benefits that I come and bring to this election is the fact that I look at problems and solutions both in a very complex manner. So when we talk about things like getting involved and getting out to vote, I think it's important to understand that within your community and within the context of your life, right? Because there are a number of people who don't vote or don't get involved because they're just busy surviving.
Right.
Quite frankly, they don't have the energy to think beyond that. And that, is unfortunate because those are probably the ones that are most impacted by regulations and laws that hurt them and that oppress them.
Right.
Wilton Manors is interesting because even though the national statistic is about 40% who votes in a non-presidential year, in Wilton Manors that's about 75 to 80%.
Wow. Well,
So,
that's wonderful.
Yeah, so Wilton Manors does vote. They vote, they're engaged in that way. But that being said, they're not necessarily engaged in terms of city boards and city committees. And what I would encourage to everybody is there's lots of ways to get involved.
Yes.
And so often people think it's this daunting, overwhelming process. And usually it's really simple, and
Right.
it's really a matter of just a few hours a week or a month that you can get involved in lots of different ways to get involved. So I would encourage everybody to get involved in their city.
Wherever you are,
Wherever you are, because if you're not part of that, your voice isn't being heard, and that's especially true for anybody who qualifies under that marginalized communities. I mean, if you think about Wilton Manors, we have 12% African American. About 80% of our population is white. That's a huge white community. We have a 12% African American, we have 12% Hispanic, but those voices aren't necessarily being heard.
Right. So get on a advisory board or committee.
Get involved.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
without a doubt.
We only have 35% women in our city. It is predominantly
Well, you can
male
also
voice.
feel it when you're in Wilton Manors. You see mostly men, right?
Correct.
You can see
Right.
mostly men.
Yes. Everybody.
Yeah.
Actually, most people are surprised when they've been in Wilton Manors and kind of walk around on the drive
Yeah.
to hear that we have a 35 to 40% women, because it feels like it's like 95%.
You know why?
men.
Because the women are inside cuddling. The
Yeah.
women are inside Netflixing and Netflixing. What is it?
Netflix.
Netflixing
Chill.
and chill. You can tell I don't even watch much TV. So we have a question here from Nikki. What type of changes are you planning to bring to Wilton Manors?
So Wilton Manors does some things really well,
Of
but
course,
there are a
yes.
couple of things that we need to improve upon.
Okay.
One of those is around responsible development. And this is an ongoing issue in our city, and I think in a lot of cities,
Yeah.
quite frankly, where you're trying to balance that development of bigger high-rises and more buildings because we have a growing population, right?
Right.
So our demographics are more and more people are being needing city dwellings, especially. And how do you balance that with a city like Wilton Manors, who our residents are saying small town feels important?
It does.
And so if you build higher and higher developments, you lose that small town feeling. So one of mine is around the responsible development and about really managing and balancing those needs.
Yeah.
Another issue that I really would like to bring to the table is around sustainable economies. And when we talk about sustainable economies, we're talking about bringing in multiple different sources of an economy. You know, we have our drive, our main drive
Yeah,
has a
Wilton
number
Drive.
of amazing bars and restaurants, which are fantastic, but we don't have day businesses. We don't have businesses that keep our city alive during the daytime, and that's a
Okay.
problem.
That's a good point.
So
yeah.
bringing those things in, and then we also have like Dixie Highway and Andrews Avenue, which are also major thoroughfares in our area that aren't developed in ways that they could be. So that responsible development is also important. Engaged communities is another piece of my platform, and that really goes back to what we were talking about earlier, of making sure that voices are heard, and especially
Right.
voices of minorities
Yeah.
are heard in our city. I think that's something that isn't necessarily done. I don't know if that's intentional, but I think structurally we know that we have systematic oppression in our country, and
Yeah,
so
of
this
course.
is another example of the systematic oppression. I don't think it's one person or one individual who's holding down a marginalized community, but it is something that's evident. I got to go to down in Miami and watch the opening of the Ruth Bader Ginsburg's movie, her biography movie.
Okay. Nice.
And she has a quote in the movie that I really loved. Essentially, and I'm going to butcher it, but essentially it was about, we're not asking, women's not asking to be anything more. We're just asking for men to take their foot off of our neck.
Look at
And that concept of like when we get involved, when we do something, that's making sure that we take the foot off of the neck of other people, off of the neck of those who are oppressed.
Right. Oh.
And that's one of the things I want to do with our engaged communities. And then
Wow.
I'd also like to do some green initiatives. I think we do a great job in the city about having green space, but we need to think beyond that. We have a huge climate change. We are the island city.
Yeah, it's a little island, right?
Which is literally a little island.
Yeah.
Our city is less than 2 square miles.
Wow.
So it's a tiny city,
small
and it has a
city,
little waterway all the way around it, which is really
Yeah.
cool. But that means we have climate issues, especially down here in Florida. And so we have to think beyond just green space, and we have
Right.
to talk about green initiatives and talk about what are some ways that we can help our residents and our businesses in bringing in better initiatives for that.
Wow. Well, this is, we have with us today candidate for City Commission of Wilton Manors, and she's on point, right? Isn't she on point? Yeah.
that's a
So
great answer.
if you're in Wilton Manors, please vote on November 6th, 2018. And your name on the ballot is Kat Campbell?
Kat Campbell.
Kat Campbell. Don't forget to vote for her.
Yes.
We have some questions.
So comment from Yvonne Rohrbacher, keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Thank you.
JD
Yes.
No Filter asked, how would you coach an individual that usually shies away from politics but is now interested and doesn't know where to start? Essentially, politics 101.
What a great question.
Great question. Yes.
So there's lots of ways, and I think to coach somebody, the first thing I want to know is what they're interested in and what works for you. For some people, getting involved in committee is the best way to do that. For other people, it might be showing up at the commission meeting and just attending your commission meeting and hearing the meetings. Some cities do a better job than others in making that commission available to people. In Wilton Manors, we actually have everything online, so you can download the agenda, you can read the agenda ahead of time, you can show up at the meeting. The meetings are in the evening to try to really accommodate to our citizens. So there's lots of different ways, and what I would say is find a mentor. Mentors are invaluable. Find a mentor in your community, somebody who's involved in your community, and then find out what you like and really engage based on your particular preferences.
Yeah, great answer too to the great question. I was very involved in the city. I lived in many years here. I recently left that city, but I was in the city of Sunrise. And I got involved in the advisory boards, and I found a number of them helped me connect. But I did start with going to those meetings and trying to figure out who are the people on the commission and how do they get there. I mean, this is a long time ago. I was in my young 30s. But yeah, and connected with a commissioner or two and try to build, relationship to see how do I get in here, so. So I think that's great. Yeah. So if that's you, JD, if you're thinking about it, go ahead to your city, wherever you live. Every city has a legislative body, whether it's called a commission or a council.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And there's lots of different ways to get involved, and there's lots of ways to learn. I mean, nowadays, we have the internet. Everything's right there at your fingertips, and you can get overwhelmed by it, but start with the very basics. Start with your city. Start with what's going on with your city and what's happening, and then look at different ways that you can get involved.
Yeah.
And all politics are local politics. That's what we always say in politics, is that all politics are local.
Right.
So starting local is the best way to do that.
Right. And I'm glad to hear Wilton Manors has a great turnout. So what are you doing to make sure that people know about you? I mean, we're doing this, but in addition to this, what are you doing?
This is it right here.
Yeah,
this is to
great.
get everybody.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. So you got this, you're on Virgin TV, Queer Qonversations, but what are the other things? And you were at Thou Art Woman, so many of you would have met Kat at Thou Art Woman. Thank you for coming and thank you for the support.
Yes.
And I'll just take this moment to make sure people know that the next Thou Art Woman is going to be next March. We're making it an annual event. And we're making it a 3-day weekend, so hope to see you there again.
I'm sure.
Yeah, yes, and as Commissioner Kat Campbell.
Love it.
Yes. So, okay, here's another question. How can people not living in Wilton Manors but in South Florida who want to help, how best can they help? And that's a great question.
Sure.
Yeah.
So help can come in whatever format works for you. Like I mentioned earlier, contributions are really important. Contributions are a way for me to get more information
And
out
any
about
amount of
who I
money,
am.
5, 10, 15, 20,
5,
25,
10, 15,
$100.
20,
Just no more than 1,000.
Anywhere in between.
Yeah, no more than 1,000.
Correct.
Right? But otherwise,
contributions are really, really important, and they're really necessary, because with those contributions, it gives me the opportunity to put out my platform to the residents and let people know what I'm doing and what I'm about. So that's one way. Another way to get involved if you're in South Florida is to actually volunteer. I'm going to be doing door knocking and getting people to aware of who I am, so I'm going to need lots of volunteers for that process. As I do more and more events, I need volunteers to help me on tables and get things together. So there's lots of opportunities to get involved. And you can register as a volunteer or contribute both on the website at katcampbell.com.
Yeah, and actually for JD who asked earlier, a way to get involved, that's another good way. Just supporting a candidate anywhere.
Absolutely.
It helps you see the whole process. And the door knocking is also a good way to lose weight. You're walking, if anybody wants, I know you didn't see that coming at all. But you can definitely, it's like you pay a gym and you go on a treadmill, for example, people do that. This is a way free that you can lose a lot of you, because you're walking, you're going to walk door to door.
Yes.
It's a lot of walking.
The entire 2 square miles.
Yeah, I know. The entire 2 square miles. So but it's also a good experience and good camaraderie, right? You get to connect with people very well. How's our time? I don't have any idea if we have.
We've got like 7 minutes.
Okay. Any other questions? So what I'll let people know, for people who just tuned in, you're watching Queer Qonversations on Verity TV. Ask you to please share this video. Please like this page. Also like Verity TV on Instagram, and like Thou Art Woman. Nikki, can you put the link for Thou Art Woman? Oh, she did. Okay, of course. For Thou Art Woman on Facebook and Instagram. What about some of the challenges? I have it like as a woman or as a lesbian, but anyway, the challenges in running for office. Because you've never run for office before.
I have not run for office before.
And did you plan for years, like one day I'm going to run for office, or did it kind of like...
No, I was in denial that I was so involved in politics. I've always in denial that how much I love politics. And my spouse actually was the one that, I think a couple times she'd say to me, "You're going to run for office." And, it just kind of slowly crept up on me little by little. as I got more stable in my own life and my business really got taken off to a point where I could donate the time and the energy, and it is a donation. Even though this is a paid position, I actually lose more money in my business by not being in my business than what I'm going to earn as a commission.
It's a sacrifice.
It is. It's a fiscal sacrifice. It's a sacrifice to my family. I had to wait for my kid to get old enough to understand enough.
And your child is now like 10, you said 10, 11.
Yeah, she's almost 11, going on 20.
I could imagine.
So, I had to get to that space. In terms of how it is running as a lesbian in Wilton Manors, it's not. It's
probably
relevant.
Great, right?
It's not relevant. I mean, we have a mostly gay commission,
right?
So it's really not an issue other than being a woman is an issue.
Yeah.
I think the biggest challenge for me personally is being a mom.
Okay.
And balancing the fact that I am my mother and I'm a business owner. And if I'm not in my business, I'm not making money. And if I'm not making money, I can't support my household.
Right.
And so really balancing those needs is probably the biggest
piece.
That's a challenge.
Yeah.
In terms of just balancing needs and making sure that, it's really important to me that I'm 100% everything I do.
Right.
So I'm 100% as a mother. Yes. I'm 100% as a spouse. Yes. And committed to my family. But I'm 100% in my city. And I'm 100% in my business. And how do I navigate those and balance those
and still take care of Kat too. You gotta have time.
Oh yeah, and that
you can't forget that.
Yes, I speak nationally on self-care. I just did a 5-hour talk in the Virgin Islands on it, and I should probably go back and review that material.
Yeah, you gotta do self-care. We have another question here.
Sure.
JD asks, if I interview your 3 closest friends, what would they say collectively about you on a personal level? I.e. hobbies, phobias, bucket lists, quirks.
Quirks. I like this. Yeah.
Oh, what a question. Gosh. What my 3 closest friends would say? I think they would probably say I'm intense.
Okay.
I really believe in my values. Especially around issues of social justice and equity, and the difference between equity versus equality, and really knowing those differences was pretty intense in my life.
So why don't you share a little bit, and we're going to get to a hobby. I know JD's trying to get to like something like that,
right?
But equity versus equality.
Sure. So there's actually a great cartoon out on Facebook if you look around, that has like 3 individuals standing on boxes, and it shows that equality is that the boxes are all equal. But in equity, it's about, the shortest person is going to have the biggest box. And if you're really looking at social justice, then, in the image, they're all standing in front of a fence to see over a fence. And true social justice is you just take the fence down. And so for me, that's what this is about. It's about equality is saying that you and I are being treated equal.
Right.
But that's not fair for you and I to be treated equal, because your race makes a difference in your life. And so what I'd rather say is that you and I are treated based upon our experiences, and that our experiences are of value. And so each of us have a value based on our experiences, and that's the difference between equity versus equality.
I love that.
So that's I'm pretty opinionated about that. I'm pretty intense about that. So I would say my friends are probably going to tell you I'm intense. I think that they would say that I'm also, I'm always there. I do really try to that's key. Be that friend that you can call. You may not talk to me for 2 or 3 years, and you can call me up and say, Kat, I need something. Good. And I'm probably going to be there and drop everything to do it.
That's good. What about a hobby? Oh man, come on! You need a hobby.
I love photography.
Oh, there you go.
Suck at it, but I love it. Still trying to figure it all out, and I don't spend enough time with it. But I love photography, and honestly, probably the biggest hobby is just spending time with my family.
Well, that's wonderful.
We try to get away for like weekends and getaways and
little escapes.
Yeah, just spend time and quality time where you're just chilling. I love hanging out with people and socializing and just being me.
Well, that's wonderful.
Sure.
So does that answer all your questions there? Yes, so we have the links here in the comments for Kat Campbell if you want to donate. The page is it Elect Kat Campbell? It's there. everybody please like her page, which is here on Facebook where you're watching this.
Yeah.
So I think the link is there. And if you want to, I think, volunteering is a great experience.
Absolutely.
I volunteered on campaigns. I enjoy them. I volunteered for Commissioner Dale Hones for Broward County years ago. He's now my friend, colleague. I volunteered for, you might have heard of Barack Obama.
It sounds familiar.
Yeah, so back in 2008, so I volunteered, and maybe even some more. I have some colleagues who ran for judge, and it's just really a rewarding, great experience. And I love camaraderie.
Yeah,
I love connecting with people, and so like knocking on doors and stuff. I enjoy all of it. So thank you. I see we have lots of people who are here like every week, and I really appreciate it. I see Carice, I see you here every single week. I don't know if I see Carly, but I see some people who are here every week, and I appreciate it. Please share it, and for people who watch this after, because I know many people can't watch it live. We appreciate everybody live and all the questions. Some people are watching it after. If you add your questions, we will try to answer your questions when you add them. We're here every Tuesday.
Melissa Hibbert is on.
Okay, hey Melissa, and I was on her live show, and she has a live show I think weekly as well. And yeah, so I'm here. Queer Qonversations is here every Tuesday, 6 p.m. EST. I'm actually traveling for the next 2 weeks, so it's going to be a little tricky. But it's going to be on location, and so we'll figure it out, right? And I'm back in the United States of America after that. So you'll see us other places in the world for the next couple weeks. You're trying to say something?
Yeah, you're cute.
Oh my, okay. You hear me wrapping up. And how much time do I have? You tell me.
Well, it's asking 1 minute after.
Oh, I didn't know. So, okay. So, what I call, thank you. I'm wrapping up, but I don't, I should wear a watch, but I haven't for like 20 years. So it's like here and then there. Usually I look at the time on my cell phone, but my cell phone is there. Yeah. Thank you, Carice. I tried to get here. Keep on bringing the great content. Yeah, I'm loving it. Thank you for being here, and I'm loving sharing the LGBTQ stories and a great diversity of stories.
Tiana is also on.
Who's that? Taina, thank you for joining. Sometimes the names go by so quickly that I can't catch everybody, but thank you everybody for joining. So what I call Queer Conversation closing questions. Don't say that too quickly. I don't know if one I should ask since you're running for office, so maybe I'll skip that one, but we'll see. So I don't know. So, and it's just like I ask you, you just reply really quickly. Right.
Okay.
So what inspires you?
What inspires me? Gosh, lots of things inspire me. People.
Humankind.
Humankind and kindness inspire me.
Okay, great. What makes you laugh?
Lots of things make me laugh. I'm known for laughing and laughing really loudly. So I think lots of things are funny in life, and I think irony is probably the funniest.
Yeah, I enjoy irony quite a bit too. Is that ironic?
And then just goofiness, goofiness and silliness. It's fun to be silly and
I love it too.
Play when you can.
Yeah, don't take life too seriously.
You really can.
So maybe I will ask a question, and if you don't want to answer it, you can tell me.
Absolutely not. No. So, try me.
Yeah. It's not that, whatever. Anyway, it's what's sexy to you?
What's sexy to me? I would say brains.
Brains.
It's all about intelligence. I have an amazing partner who is really smart, and that is sexy.
Oh, I love that. Great.
And that is perfectly legitimate to ask.
Yeah. Okay. Good. We're like, well, you're running for office. Do we talk about some things like so? But you're still.
If you want to know who I am, that's who I am.
Exactly. I love that. I love it.
Sure.
And then my last question is, what's so great about being queer or being a lesbian or being LGBTQ?
What's so great about being LGBT? Well, lots of things are great about being LGBT. Yeah. I mean, we have an amazing LGBT community, especially in Wilton Manors.
Right.
That Gayborhood is really awesome, and even though we have to scream a little louder as women, it is really cool to be in a group who has that identity and can share that identity with each other. But I think it's just a part of my identity, so I don't know if I could fully tell you what's so great about it.
But we're just awesome.
I like my community.
Yes.
It's a cool community.
It is. It's a great community.
I like when we can step outside of the box and understand that the box really doesn't have a purpose. There's not a need for a box.
Right, I hear what you're saying. Yeah. So we have I just left, but so we have a comment. She's holding herself back, by the way, but she said she thinks your lisp is sexy.
So yes, I do have some lisp, and we were talking about that because I'm also deaf out of one ear. It's part of my identity is being hearing impaired, and so that changes how I hear things, and it changes how I speech.
Yeah. Right. So
I'm glad you find it sexy.
That's good, right.
It's the first time I've ever been told that.
Yes. So
Wayne said hello.
and hello Wayne, hello Nick, and everybody who's joined us. We're wrapping up now. Please share this video, please like this page, and tune in every Tuesday 6 p.m. EST. Thank you for joining me here.
Thank you for having me and for talking about politics. I know that could be a contentious topic, but it shouldn't be. It's part of our everyday life.
Yeah, this is our everyday life. And thank you for running for office. I know it's not easy, and it's a challenge.
Thank you.
It's a sacrifice, but I appreciate it, and we appreciate you running.
Well,
we
really appreciate you.
Wish you the very, very best.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody who is watching and listening and sharing and liking and contributing and volunteering.
Yes.
And whatever else I missed.
Yes. Okay, take care, everyone. Bye. See you soon.
Everyone.
I can never end this. Okay. I don't know why. It's when I press it.
They don't want to get rid of us.
No.
They love us.
There it is.